ACHS International accreditation recognises commitment to world-leading healthcare standards and continuous quality improvement, building trust with your patients and partners. The Australian Council on Healthcare Standards, ACHS, is Australia's largest, most trusted and experienced hospital and healthcare accreditation provider. At ACHS International, we're proud to share the standards of one of the world's best healthcare systems. Our services extend beyond accreditation. We're your trusted quality improvement partner. Gain unique access to ongoing support from top industry experts to stay at the forefront of innovation and deliver sustainable, quality, patient-centred care with confidence. Our distinctive partnership approach includes bespoke quality improvement programs, connection and shared insights with a global network, unparalleled benchmarking of performance and outcomes globally, increased staff competencies through exceptional education and training, and international recognition for dedication to excellence. We are committed to identifying and implementing continuous quality improvement, tailored to your needs. Join our global network and showcase your commitment to excellence in healthcare. Partner with ACHS International.
Hear the warm melodies of family gathered around. Baby's very first word, making mama proud. All the things that seem to make us grow, and all the time we spent together makes the future shine brighter. Moments like these feel so fine. Open up our eyes and see the sunrise. Give us moments like these till the end of time. 'Cause it's been so great, but the best is yet to come. Winter makes the summer shine brighter. Spring and the fall make the colors lighter. Looking forward to whatever may come, knowing full well.
Hi, everyone. I hope you all are inspired and motivated as we are. After all the energizing, inspiring, and valuable sessions that we have had so far in the morning, we have shared fascinating ideas, discussed the future of healthcare, and now, as we shift our focus, towards a more operational and patient experience-driven conference, we would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you, as we assume each one of you embody the spirit of hope. Hope isn't just a session, it's a commitment to augment patient experience and healthcare operations to another level. And we have all you great heroes in this collaborative journey of ours. We commit to take patient care and healthcare operations to another level, where it's a collective responsibility, where healthcare is not just efficient, safe, compassionate, and accessible to all of us. As we begin towards the lamp lighting, for Hope session, the lamp lighting signifies illumination of ideas. Just as the lamp dispels the darkness, we aim to address the healthcare challenges and address all inequalities with insight, innovation, and collaboration. Without any further ado, I would like to request Dr. Madhu Sasidhar, President and CEO of Apollo Hospital Divisions, to please come up and light the lamp. Followed by Mr. Rajendra Reddy Pakala, VP Materials, Apollo Hospitals. Dr. James Merlino, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer at JCI. I welcome you all, sir. Request you all to take back your seats, please. Yeah. As we move on, it's my privilege to welcome again Dr. Madhu Sasidhar, President and CEO of Apollo Hospitals, onto the dais. We are honored to have him here today to share his insights on framing the future, building on shared goals. So, a graduate of JIPMA Pondicherry, trained in internal medicine at St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital, New York, pursued fellowships in pulmonary and critical care medicine at Yale University. He also holds an executive MBA from NCR, France. Previously, he served as president of Cleveland Clinic's Tradition Hospitals and chief medical officer at Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi. A prolific researcher and speaker, Dr. Sasidhar holds a patent for a commercialized healthcare technology and has expertise in big data platforms and programming. And I also remember vaguely that he's a self-taught programmer. So that definitely deserves a big round of applause. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, and it's truly a privilege, and I believe this is the first healthcare operations and patient experience meeting, and I hope this is a start of many good things to come. So I really want to thank Gaurav and team for putting this together, assembling a phenomenal group of people, and I see Jim Merlino here. We go back a long time. I've had the privilege of working with Jim. And I would say, I look forward to hearing from you, Jim. I don't think there is a thought leader and as persuasive a person as when it comes to patient experience and when it comes to advocating for patients. So this is really a great juxtaposition, right? Think about it. We've spent the whole day talking about technology, artificial intelligence. We heard about Microsoft announcement of a quantum computer. Is this better? Of a quantum computer, and I don't know, they're racing towards a billion gazillion qubits and are building the next super intelligence. But I'd like to start with a story, and it's about a famous anthropologist who was asked, what is the first sign of civilization? Right? She was asked by one of her students, what do you think is the first sign of civilization? And her answer was, when we find an evidence of a healed femur, the long bone of the thigh. Now, why a healed fracture of the femur? It's not art, it's not paintings in caves, it's not music, it's not language, but it's a healed femur, right? Because for every other species, when it breaks a long bone, it dies. it either starves to death or it becomes food. But humans are the only species that can take care of another for the 3 months, 4 months that it takes for a long bone to heal. That is the first sign of civilization. That is what sets us apart. And I always think that medicine is, when it fundamentally, it comes down to humans taking care of other humans, right? And I'll paraphrase a famous 19th century philosopher who said, medicine is not merely science, but it's an art. The character of the physician has more impact, has a more profound impact on the patient's outcome than the medicines that are deployed. So I want us to, as we think about all of this incredible technology that we have at our disposal, keep that at the center of everything that we do. Keep the patient experience at the center of everything that we do. And I think when it comes to patient experience during that whole process of care, there is a lot of work that needs to be done. And for those of us who run hospitals, let me tell you, operational resiliency, a high level of resiliency and attention to operations is critical. It is one of the 5 pillars of zero harm that we've recently embraced as Apollo, because operational resiliency is critical to patient experience, and you cannot separate the two of them. So I want to credit the team for putting this conversation together, and I hope as we continue to look at things like precision medicine and oncology and the integration of artificial intelligence, we don't forget that to build resilient systems, we have to think about the patient experience as well as the experience of the caregivers who are delivering this care. So thank you, and welcome to the inaugural HOPE session.
Thank you so much, sir. It was just going on in my mind when Madhu sir was talking, coming back onto all the morning sessions. So he was discussing about the shared goals and what should be that ikigai, as the CTO of DOSI or Atul sir or Dr. Manish Goyal, everyone said in the morning, while reaching out for Moon, serving the patients the last in the line, or that overlap of the Venn diagram, where innovation, clinical need, and execution has to be all incorporated together and then taken forward. Once again, thank you so much, sir. As we move forward in today's discussion, it's crucial to understand that patient-centric facilities play a pivotal role in enhancing the overall healthcare experience. A well-designed, patient-focused environment not only ensures comfort, safety, but also fosters improved healing and improved clinical outcomes. With this in mind, we now transition to our next session, Designing Patient-Centric Facilities for the Future. Let's delve deeper into the insights our speakers have to offer us on this subject. I would now like to welcome our session chair, Mr. Jelson Kavalaka, CEO, Ahmedabad. He served the Indian Navy for 20 years before transitioning to healthcare in 2011. A National Defense Academy alumnus, he commanded a warship and led several top healthcare facilities, including Fortis, Mohali, Hiranandani, Mumbai, Aster MedCity, Kochi. With over 30 years of experience in operations and management, he excels in planning, executing, and commissioning greenfield hospitals. A very warm welcome to you, sir, on the dais. Welcoming our another session chair, Dr. Govindaya Yatish. He is the medical and unit head of Apollo Hospitals, Jayanagar, with over 20 years of experience. He began his career as an emergency physician, holds a hospital management degree from IIMB, a champion of patient safety. He has been recognized with the Emerging Young Leader Award by the Global Association of Physicians of Indian Origin and had served on several prominent healthcare bodies. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Dr. Özlem Veenstra, an innovative and patient-focused leader with extensive experience in quality improvement, risk management, and healthcare safety, and human factors engineering. We will extend you a warm welcome, ma'am, on the dais. Please join me in welcoming our second speaker, Dr. Prashant Venila, a seasoned healthcare leader. Dr. Prashant brings over 16 years of expertise in public health, health informatics, and quality assurance. An oral maxillofacial surgeon with an MBA in healthcare management, he has led initiatives in infection control, telemedicine, and has many healthcare certifications. With experiences with CDC, Johnson & Johnson and Cochlear India, he has played a key role in advancing healthcare standards. Let's hear from him, the audience. Please join me in welcoming our third speaker, Mr. Harmeet Singh Arora. Mr. Arora is the founder and director of Eliste Hotels and Resorts and Experiencia. Known for his expertise in hospitality and experiential travel, with a visionary approach, he has built premium hospitality brands and focused on unique guest experiences and luxury accommodation. His leadership continues to drive innovation in the industry, setting new benchmarks in customer satisfaction and service excellence. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Dr. Madhu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We are all not architects who can design hospitals, but I'm sure most of you are from the hospital industry. And I would like to know how many of you are fully satisfied with the kind of design that is there in your hospitals. So I don't see any hands coming up, which means that there is always a scope for improvement when it comes to the hospital design. So when I was told to chair this particular session, I was wondering how I would put this entire thing into context. So what I thought was, I'll come out with a narrative of a patient experience who had gone through well-designed hospitals. And maybe once we go through that, everything will fall in place. So here is one, I will call her Mrs. Patient, who had been advised a medical procedure. She was to get admitted to a newly commissioned, well-designed hospital. She braced herself for a typical hospital experience: cold hallways, long wait times, and a sterile, impersonal environment. But what she found instead was a space that felt more like a wellness retreat than a hospital. From the moment she arrived, the difference was clear. The entrance was flooded with natural light. Everything that I'm saying has a meaning. With a calming water feature and a soft music playing in the background. A friendly digital system allowed her to quickly complete all her admission formalities, and a concierge guided her to her room. No long waits, no confusing corridors. Mrs. Patient's room was designed to feel more like a hotel suite than a hospital room. A floor-to-ceiling window overlooked the healing garden, And she had a control over the room's lighting, temperature, even entertainment via a bedside tablet. The bed was ergonomically designed for comfort, and instead of the usual fluorescent lights, warm ambient lighting created a soothing atmosphere. The hospital embraced patient-centric technology. The nurses used real-time tracking systems to ensure timely responses, and Mrs. Patient could communicate with her care team via an app without waiting for the nurse to pass by. Every morning, her doctor visited with a digital board displaying her progress, lab results, and care plan, making her feel involved in her treatment. Beyond the technology, human touch made all the difference. The hospital had a hospitality-trained staff that focused on personalized care. A nutritionist visited Mrs. Patient to discuss her dietary preferences before curating a meal plan which arrived from the hospital's gourmet kitchen, fresh, organic, and beautifully plated. During her stay, Mrs. Patient took advantage of the healing spaces integrated into the hospital's design. She strolled through the rooftop therapy garden, attended a guided meditation session in the wellness lounge, and enjoyed a virtual reality therapy which transported her to the serene landscapes, helping her recover faster. By the time she was discharged, which happened in a jiffy, Mrs. Patient felt more rejuvenated than exhausted, a stark contrast to her past hospital experience. As she left, she realized this wasn't just a hospital, it was a place designed around her well-being, comfort, and recovery. The hospital in question had redefined healthcare through the design, proving that patient-centric design wasn't just about aesthetics, it was about creating an experience that delighted, healed, and empowered every patient who walked through the doors. So this pretty much sums up what a hospital could be. Each of the touch points have not been discussed. That's every touch point is a topic by itself. We can speak for hours. But the fact of the matter is that a design can help a patient to heal faster, reduce the infection rate, reduce stress, and to a great extent, the studies also show that it can impact the outcomes. Now, hospitals were not like this. Hospitals, if you look at it, a hospital as a concept itself started only around 200 years back. And initially, those places were places where the sick and the poor were housed so that they could quietly pass away. From there, we have traveled a long way. But even till late 20th century, the hospitals focused entirely on functionality. They focused on providing the medical care. The person who designed the hospital was an architect. They discussed with the clinicians. Everybody was focused on the functionality. I don't think anybody ever asked a patient as to what the patient wanted. But I think it is from the beginning of 20th century that especially in India, when the corporate hospitals started mushrooming, there was competition among the hospitals to try and see which design is better, and that definitely helped the patients. I can tell you that Mrs. Patient experience could have been almost 90% in one of the hospitals that I have served. So hospitals are advancing in their designs, but when we are committing to construct a hospital, that hospital is going to be there for at least 50 to 100 years. And so the design can never be for today. It has to be for future. And that's always a challenge with the kind of medical advancements that is happening. So with this, we have very, very eminent speakers. I was interacting with all of them. They're all specialized in their fields, and they'll be taking you through some of the concepts which will definitely stand out when you design a hospital. So in the next 20 to 30 minutes, we will have 3 of our eminent speakers talking to you. I like this seating arrangement because it's very informal and it is very it helps for interaction, better interaction. So please make use of this kind of a seating arrangement and ask questions, so we'll be able to answer as much as possible. Now I hand you over to Ms. Oldrim for continuing with the speech. She is going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is the design of a hospital, patient-centric hospital, a futuristic design for 2040. I was telling her 2040 is only 15 years away, but that's a very, very, very long distance away when it comes to the design. Over to you, ma'am.
Mr. Jelson, thank you. So will my presentation be there and is okay? I can meet everybody and just walk there? Okay, great, thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. Namaste, and thank you very much for being here. It's a privilege and honor to be with distinguished leaders and very honorable participants today afternoon. So when they approached me about a presentation and we want to choose a topic, and then my engineering part come into scene, so we decided that it will be in this innovation conference will be very important and maybe helpful to speak about the next generation hospital designs and a vision for year 2040, which is not so far away, but sometimes it is, and also smart facilities and sustainable operations to protect our environment. Next slide, please. So when we think about, of course, smart facilities, there are actually three pillars to it. One is physical design, and the other one is service design, and the last one is technology design. In the morning, we hear a lot of talk about AI and technology, so I am not going to focus on that portion, but my presentation today, I'll be focusing on physical design and talk about importance of sustainable hospital designs and operations. And also for service design, my focus will be on sustainable hospital of the future and how sustainability practices can improve efficiency and reduce costs and make hospitals more resilient. And on this, I want to follow up with a little bit more practical hint and tips for climate-friendly hospitals, what we are going through in the for the next generation hospitals, right? And also then we, as the last slide, I just will be happy to share a vision, some bullet points for the design of hospitals for year 2040. So, yes, as we know, the global healthcare industry exerts a disproportionate impact on our climate and almost accounting for 5%, as it was mentioned in the morning, for the green gas emissions or carbon prints, we call it. If we put this into perspective, actually, what it means is, if we look at, we bring all the hospitals together and the healthcare as a country, that will be the 5th largest emitter in the globe. So, for example, if you look at hospitals, they produce they consume 2.6 times more energy than commercial buildings. Can you believe that, you know? They turn out almost 13,000 tons of waste daily. So as we know, it's also impacting human health, and also particularly in developing countries. There's a lot of urgent calls for change and sustainability and introduction. But when we look at the healthcare industry, it's a little bit more behind than the other industries. So that's why it is very important to keep for us in mind as a vision. Can we go? Next slide. So discussions about the designs are a big top priority. You know, it is, in my references, you will see it's being mentioned by the World Health Organization, by some other institutions, and European Union is a big emphasis on it. And when we look at the sustainable designs, it looks for the reduction of the negative impact of all the environment aspects and improve healthcare quality at the same time. Of course, the building is very important in this respect, right? It uses a lot of energy, and how can we utilize that building to make it environmental friendly is very important. When I did some literature review over the last couple of months, actually, there are some concepts to define a sustainable hospital of the future. And these are the certain ones I want to talk about a little bit. First is the right size. I will give you a little bit details and hint and tips. The other one is optimize, customize, humanize, like Mr. Jason was talking about humanization a lot, right? The feeling when we come, welcoming, the colors and stuff. And naturalize, decarbonize, and energize. So right size, as we see, for example, the most high-risk procedures, we start to see that they shift to ambulatory care centers, right? Rather than the hospitals, because then they can utilize the existing buildings, then they can make the impact on the environment and the climate less, because we already have those buildings. We see the support services at the hospitals. They start to get consolidated and in a hub, you know, and like logistics and stuff like that is being more centralized to be decreasing the impact on the environment as well. Optimization. We were seeing more vertical design of buildings. We start to see now more U-shaped buildings because it's much more easier in the long term to play with the U-shaped buildings. You know, you can transform it to other kind of needs if the building lifespan is completed. So that's another important aspect of a sustainable hospital for the future. Customization is very important because, as you know, we have some elements in the building that we can accommodate, and they can be very flexible and make sure that we get the value from the nature and also create a healing environment as well. So the roofs can be trellis-like, allowing some plants to grow. Depending on climate, modular inserts can be designed for shading or rainwater collection, right? We never think about those things, but rainwater harvesting, solar panels, and some vegetative roofing, they call it in the architecture, is becoming very popular nowadays. And humanization, as I said, Mr. Jason has already mentioned, but the key word by humanization is like to be able to create a welcoming environment. From the childhood on, we know that hospitals has white walls, right? Very quiet places. There's a certain kind of smell. So it's like for hygiene and stuff, but it also feels a little bit cold. It increases the anxiety for the patients or visitors. Now, the whiteness of these things can also make you feel like isolated, feel alone. But now it's more important in the building structure, like well-being, the soothing colors, the nice designs. More human touch is in the building internally as well. And there is actually, when I was studying for this paper I wanted to share with you, it's a new terminology I learned is about neuroarchitecture. So that's really very important, what it will stimulate in the human brain, the building design. That's a part of also healing process, right? So that's about humanization. And naturalization. So maybe, did any of you heard the term biophilic design? Biophilic design? Okay, great. So I can see some heads and I can see some hands up. So biophilic design is actually a concept used with the building industry to increase occupant connectivity to the natural environment, and by using the direct nature and those kind of structures. And in naturalization is the biophilic design is very much emphasized. And in this approach, for example, as we mentioned, like the light, greenery, water, and also organic materials into interior designs are being chosen to soothing and restorative and conducive for healing environment. And of course, in healthcare, when you come to healthcare, then the biophilic design goes beyond aesthetic, as you very nicely mentioned, Mr. Jason, because it aims to reduce the stress, also speed up recovery, and improve the patient healthcare outcomes. So that's why naturalization is important. Decarbonizing buildings. I will speak a little bit about this in the climate-friendly hospitals as well, but especially while we are doing all these, our goal is to minimize the impact on the climate and make sure that we are not harming the sustainability of our future globe. So that's why the hospitals needs to be also very much aware of what kind of things they produce is impacting the carbonization in the world, in the globe, number one. Number two, what kind of operations can be also simplified or more utilized in a productive way that the impact is, of course, our first goal is elimination, but if not, then at least we want to minimize it. And the last one is about the energize. And so the building type in the future will be like, needs to be re-evaluated in terms of energy. According to the World Health Organization, the ideal case at present is the creation of the zero-waste hospital. So if we think now, it's almost impossible, but what we think, many things impossible many years ago, is now what we are living. So this will be also possible, I'm sure, if we come together as an effort. And of course, healthcare organizations can, promote energy efficiency and implement renewable energy strategies. And procurement is very important in reduction of green gas emissions. And of course, also, it helps to financially also save some resources while maintaining and improving the quality of care. And now I want to address in my next slide, please, about these climate-friendly hospitals. What are the elements, the basic elements? Can we go to the next slide, please? What are the really elements that makes a hospital climate-friendly and what we need to think about the design phase? As we know, worldwide, addressing the climate change can carry significant co-benefits in terms of environmental health. According to the European Commission, air pollution causes 369,000 premature deaths in Europe each year. In the United States, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, based calculations show that emissions from energy production ultimately consumed by healthcare facilities, including sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, and mercury, cause an increased disease burden in the general public, including conditions such as cardiovascular disease, asthma, and other respiratory illnesses. So energy efficiency is very important. Our goal is to reduce hospital energy consumption and cost through efficiency and conservation measures. As I just explained some examples, let's say it's as simple as it's systematically turning off the medical equipment, turning on off the lights when not needed, and in not high-risk places, of course, to look for plugging leaks in the energy. That's very big savings in the end. And then green building design, the hospital buildings that are, to build hospitals that are responsive to local climate conditions and optimized for reduced energy and resource demands. For example, siting the hospitals nearby public transportation routes so that the patients will not use that much vehicles, come to you more quicker, or planting some trees on your site. And in your design components, again, integrating the daylight and natural ventilation and green roofs are some examples of that. Alternative energy generation, to produce or consume clean and renewable energy on site to ensure reliable and resilient operations is a key. Solar is one of the common ones, but also there is a big choice for biofuels as well. And alternative energies for using for heat generation and so on and so forth is also under implementation, especially in European countries. It's a very big movement towards zero carbon emissions. So that's why everything is changing so rapidly. Can we go to the next slide, please? So transportation is very important. Again, use of alternative fuels for hospital affiliates, because hospitals are a big transportation chain, I would say. We have ambulances, we have other means of, vehicles, and also the staff comes and so on and so forth. So it's very important to look into the transportation process as well when we are speaking about environment-friendly and climate-friendly hospitals. Food, I saw some hospital menus that they have no meat, for example, or less meat to provide sustainable food. And so you can look at your menus and you can see the carbon print of that menu, and you can prepare less carbon print ones. And the waste is reduce, reuse, recycle, compost, or employ alternatives for waste incineration is very important. And minimizing waste, for example, normally single-use ones, of course, we prefer sometimes, but at the same time now, it is being told that they do sometimes prefer reuse because of the effect on the environment. So water is a very important resource. Conserving water, avoiding bottled water when safe alternative exists, and recycling of some water or collecting, harvesting rainwater is one of the other things. So next slide, please. So as you see, we have a lot of things to think about, and we have to put these parameters when we are designing our operations or when we are designing our buildings. And for year 2040, I think the sustainability dimension and ecosystem dimension of smart hospitals will be key to rethink and redesign hospital infrastructures and operations to address the updated care needs. And also integrating sustainability practices and fostering collaborative ecosystems to hospital buildings and operations will be as important as integrating technology for next generation hospitals. Sustainable solutions and materials will become standardized and increase operational efficiency while protecting the environment and protecting our patients and healing them. But the most thing, I think, important thing we need to all remember is that the future is only what we make of it. So thank you very much for your attention, and namaste. Thank you.
I had healthcare business for BSI, and so my talk, I will be using less of slides and more of my practical experience from designing the hospitals, and more from new ISO standard that has come in 7101 exclusively for the hospitals. So I'll be talking from that point of view. So I think, as Professor said, the technology has come in. The U-shaped hospitals, growing of medicinal plants or herbs inside the hospital, conservation of energy, all of that probably India has already adopted. And I think almost 10 years back, all of these things what are getting discussed or were discussed before, they are already in place. I'll try and tell you what it is one by one. So just imagine all of us work in hospital setting. Just imagine you are right in front of the hospital. generally what would we see in front of a hospital? There is a gate or there is an entrance. We are entering into the hospital. What do you expect from the sustainability point of view or from the technology point of view or whatever? At the entrance, what should be there? If you ask me from the Indian setting point of view, cattle trap should be there. Do you know that cattle traps? The small iron rods kind of thing, when you pass onto it, they will make lot of sounds. Why it is kept it that way? Because no animals or any other cats, we might end up seeing some things, especially in the government hospitals. They make those cattle traps so that they do not enter into the hospital. Eventually, they should not harm the people. Probably many of us in India might have seen in newspapers that some baby born in the hospitals were bitten by rodents or were eaten away by some dogs or stray dogs, something like that. So to avoid those things, the cattle traps were kind of built in so that these things do not enter into the hospital. Okay, now that I entered into the hospital, there itself the energy auditing would happen, I would say. Most of the hospitals would have these kiosk type of or electric lights type of thing. As a, say for example, this is Apollo group of hospitals, something like that will be written with the help of some electrification. But do we really need it? Because in the morning, mostly we do not lit it up. But in the evening, mostly patients do not come over there. So at the end, what should be the solution? Probably some sort of radium stickers kind of a thing where it will glow even for a small amount of energy. Then once I enter into the hospital, I would look into two aspects. Whether do I have a proper parking space, specific for the doctors, specific for the patients and their attendees, whether do we have it or not. And then followed by having a medicinal plants growing in the hospital. How many of our hospitals have these medicinal plants or herbs growing in the hospital? So I would say the Government of India has already listed lot of medicinal plants and herbs that should be placed inside the hospital and outside the hospital as well. And if I have to name something like neem, something like aloe vera, tulsi, all of that, these actually kind of energize or drive away the negativity inside the hospital and provide the fresh air inside the hospital. Probably that is required for all the hospitals to be taken care if they do not have space, because I know we have space constraint because population can grow but earth cannot grow. So I feel we need to look at some sort of technology or some sort of, or at least some flower plots probably should be kept inside the hospitals. So these are the things that I would look from the design point of view, having a cattle trap, having a less resource consuming signages, then having medicinal herbs so that the patients and the attendees who are coming would feel a better place that they are entering into. But one of the very striking thing which I have seen in a lot of hospitals is at the entrance level, generally we have steps. We do not have ramps. Or even if we have ramps, it would be only surrounding or at main entrance, but not across the hospital. If a person has to come in who is handicapped or in an emergency situation, definitely they need to have a ramp which should be protected by a kind of railing as well to it. And then now we are talking about the light source. If you look at, probably if you remember your ancestors or probably your grandfather's age, if you go to your villages, do you remember how the houses were built? I think there will not be any, probably the roof at the center. Mostly it will be empty. Surrounding that we will have the all of this bedrooms, halls and all. At the center there will be open space where a bucket of water is kept. Any person who enters into it, he has to wash his legs and hands, then only he should enter into the house. I think that sort of thing is already in place in the domestic circuit, but also there are some hospitals who have already adopted it. We have a U-shaped hospital where the entire sunlight comes into the hospital and it reaches out to all the wards, not OTs and ICUs, but at least wards, waiting areas, reception areas. We have this kind of facility. And when I talk about the sunlight, why we are talking about sunlight? As you all know, vitamin D, and it helps in kind of helping us manufacture, or I should not say manufacture, but it will help us in getting the vitamin D3. But a small information, somewhere around a sunlight that has a photon or electromagnetic energy of 290 nanometers, more than 290 nanometers, if that sort of energy is coming into it, that would kind of stimulate the endocrine glands and then release the hormones, and it would help us in kind of getting the vitamin D3. So that is one of the logic wherein we are thinking about having a sunlight, but at the same time, more exposure to sunlight also is carcinogenic probably. But within the limits, there are studies that shows that it also reduces the blood pressure and also the cholesterol levels. That is the reason the sunlight is probably given that much of importance. And then I also see a lot of, I would say, ACs, refrigerators. I hope most of you know this, but still I want to tell it. If you want to buy a AC, what would you buy? Which AC would you buy? Would you buy a 5-star AC or a 4-star AC? Do you think anything is required beyond that? Anything beyond looking at AC that, okay, I have to purchase a AC. Which AC should I purchase? Apart from the price, apart from the 5-star rating, do you look at any other thing? Capacity 2.5 ton, 1.5 ton. But from the energy point of view, anything do you want to see? Electricity, 5-star is the electricity. So this is climate change point of view. What I'm saying is all from the climate change point of view. And then once I enter inside the hospital, because I'm still outside the hospital, so I'm still within the reception area, I would say. So it's a small tip. Probably if you want to buy a AC, take this tip from me. You have to look at whether that AC compressor gas has isomethane or isobutane filled in it. And how do you know it? You will be seeing this isomethane, isobutane written on those ACs. Or nowadays, what they are writing it as R32. Basically, it is a hydrochlorofluorocarbons, which is kind of environment friendly as per the kind of energy guidelines or something like that. But if you look at the current lot of ACs that are available in the market, they are all made up of R12, which is basically chlorofluorocarbons. And believe me, just imagine one person sitting, say in a traffic island, the amount of pollution exposure that guy is exposed to within 1 hour, you will be getting exposed by sitting under AC within 1 day. Take it from me. Many research studies have provided the evidence that these ACs, which are made up of R12, that is chlorofluorocarbons, are carcinogenic. So going forward, if you want to buy any AC, probably go for these kind of machines that have isomethane. And I'm not propagating any company, but Japanese people have already moved into that space. Whatever Japanese companies are, the ACs are available, like Daikin, Panasonic and all of that, you can buy it. They are all gone into it. And from India point of view, in 2017, the Paris Agreement, our country has committed that we will phase out all of these machines by 2030. So till 2030, you will be getting these kind of refrigerators, these kind of ACs. Probably I would request to kind of look into the climatic change part. Some of them are already coming into it. And then once the lighting part, if I have to ask you what is the appropriate lighting, why lighting is important, I discussed about the natural lighting, but also I want to discuss about the artificial lighting. For every space, we have a specific requirement, especially inside the hospital. And I'll just list down, if you can remember, just remember it. If it is waiting area, we need to have at least 300 lux of lighting space or lighting requirement. If it is a ward or a consultation room, again 250 to 300 lux. If it is operation theater, somewhere around 3000 to 5000 lux. And if it is ICUs, again it is around 300 to 500. Why I'm listing all of these? Because everywhere the visibility is very important. In an operation theater, imagine if the lux or if the energy requirement, if the light is not up to the level of 3000 to 5000, what would happen? It would hamper the vision of the surgeon who is performing the surgery. And there is, I'll tell you one more very interesting thing. When I was doing some audits inside the operation theater, when doctor was performing the surgery, his head shadow was falling onto the patient. And his vision was completely blocked. And it was not about the lux part. it was more of the placement of the lights, because these lights were placed exactly on the OT table. And on the OT table, when surgeon bends, automatically the shadow was falling onto the OT table. It was compromising the treatment part or the surgery part. So in the design itself, probably we need to look at how much amount of, or where should be the placement should happen. So that is from the light point of view. And then inside the OT, we all talk about the positive pressure, negative pressure, having air handling units, and all of that stuff. But from the design point of view, we are probably compromising on the space. I have seen many operation theaters where they will have entire HEPA filters, laminar airflow keeping in place, but they will block the vents inside the operation theater. And these vents are blocked by biomedical waste management bins, or anesthesia carts, or CM machines. So hospital investing so much of money in buying the technology, they are not able to utilize that technology in an efficient way, because we are blocking those vents, which actually gives you the positive pressure and negative pressure. And here I just want to kind of give you another small one of my experience. Suppose if you think the barometer outside the operation theater is not working, how do we know that the operation theater is working under positive pressure or a negative pressure? Thread is also one. Another very simple thing is just push the door. If you feel equal and opposite reaction coming, or the energy coming from inside the OT, then your OT is under the positive pressure. So that is one of the design requirements. And then, can you go to the next slide? Next slide. Yeah. So from the all of these, what I would say is are meant to reduce the. Sorry, thank you. Just 2 minutes. All of these, I feel, meant to reduce the excess length of stay from that point of view. Probably we need to reduce the length of stay, so that the infection control or the HIs that are coming in, the longer the patient stays inside the hospital, the problem arises more from that point of view. And one last minute I would take to tell you about the colors. I told about a little bit about the design part, but from the colors point of view, if you look at the design, I'll just read it out, which colors can be taken or applied to the walls. Just Dr. Anshu, another one. So the next one is, if you look at OPDs, what is the color that we need to have inside the OPD or the consultation rooms? So the guidelines or the standards, as I was saying, the 7101 standards, it says that blue color promotes the calmness, the serenity. So if we want to have OPD coloring, it should be blue color. And if it is consultation rooms, it should be light green color, the pastel colors would be the better option. And then ICUs and OTs, these represent sterile atmosphere. So ideally white color or a stainless steel type of a color would be suitable for OTs. And similarly for labor room, CSSD, radiology units, cool grays and blues. These are the colors. If you want, please paint it. Next slide, please. Then for pediatrics, these things are actually dealt, we are dealing with a lot of kids. Kids love bright colors. So if you look at it, warm yellow color. In my hospital also, I have kept a yellow color only. So that really gives a great look, I would say. So look at, you can try yellow and black. I have kept the theme as yellow and black in my hospital. And then some soft greens, especially for the palliative care. Soft greens, because as you all know, all the cancer patients or HIV patients who are for a very less time with us probably. So they would need this kind of serene atmosphere, which can be contributed by blues and soft greens. Then wards, again, lavender color is the most suitable color for the wards. And then for nursing stations, because majority of the nurses, I feel hospitals are majorly run by the hospitals. And almost 60% by the nurses and 40% by the doctors. I feel that way. So all the nursing stations should have that warmth and comfort, so that people would come and talk to them, and they would also respond in a proper way. So for them, peach evokes those kind of feelings. So that's it, I think, from my side. I wanted to talk a lot, lots of things I wanted to say, but somewhere, some practical things we have discussed. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, we'll take it. Thank you.
I think we'll leave the question answer session for the end. So you may please continue.
Thank you so much. And my name is Harmeet Singh Arora, and thank you so much for this opportunity that I've got this platform in front of so many distinguished doctors. And I always wanted to be a doctor. My father wanted to be me to be a doctor, but I chose to be a hotelier. That's where my passion lied. And I started my career as a hotelier and then went into airports. So today my topic is around bringing in the cross-industry learnings, right? I'm sure all of you would have experienced hotels. I'm sure you would have traveled to airport. Yes or no? All of us? Yeah. So what you feel there now and what you used to feel 20 years back, is there a difference? Is there a difference into how airports used to function earlier in India, I'm talking about especially, even internationally, and how they function now, right? Is there a difference in the way the complete design, the architecture, the interiors, the processes, the systems, how people interact with you? Is there a difference or no? Do you see that? How and why has it happened? Who brought this change? Anybody? Yes, you're right. Customers brought this change. They expect and you deliver. Now, it is all about understanding the expectations of your customers, or here we talk about the patients and the attendants in our field, right? So there are a lot of connections that I can draw between what we do at airport, what we do at hotels to turn around the experience of a customer or a guest there, and what do we do at hospitals so that tomorrow the patients come to your hospital by choice. One, definitely yes, choice of doctors is very important because patients choose the hospitals because of the doctors. Yes or no? Yes? Yeah, you're right, absolutely right. But given a chance that it's not the doctor, I don't know who the doctor will be, and I'm not concerned who the doctor will be. And if now I have to choose by the experience or by the feedback or by the experience that others have had, how will I select? Based on the service, based on the experience, based on the feedback that I receive from my fellow colleagues, friends, families. How were they treated? Yes? So there are a lot of common connects that can be drawn between these industries. What I'm going to talk to you about is only limited one or two interactions, right? Like, as you also said, there are a lot of opportunities in the entire process flow, right? In the book called Moments of Truth by Jan Carlson, the CEO of Scandinavian Airlines, he wrote, what is moment of truth? Do you understand what is moment of truth? Anyone? So moment of truths are basically interactions that your customer has, any and every interaction that your customer has with your product, process, or people. So like rightly said, every interaction, whether it is the first interaction at the main gate by the security guard, or entering into the parking and how the parking attendant deals, or how do you get the ticket, the parking ticket, right? The moment you land outside the parking and you go towards the main porch and there is a doorman who opens the door for you, or the lighting, the infrastructure there, the greenery, the colors that you choose, right? You go inside for the check-in. In hotels you check in, but here you do the registration, right? So there is an infrastructure there, then there is a person standing. So every interaction that a patient does with your product or with the process or with the people standing is called the moment of truth. We need to go back and see whatever we have been doing for the last so many years, is it the right way? Or can we do it differently? So at every point, if you walk in as a patient, not as an employee, I'm treating because I also, when I started doing something new for airport in 2008, when airport was taken over from Airport Authority of India to a private body, we walked in as a customer, not as an employee. And we said that as a customer, what would I expect? As a passenger, what would I expect? And if I get to know what are the gaps that I experience as a customer, then I'll be able to draw the processes right. Yes or no? Do you agree or no? Yeah? All of us? Right? So as a customer or as a patient walking into the hospital and see, am I experiencing every service in the right possible way? Is it a moment of truth which is positive or negative? Look at people around you. Just look at your person sitting on your left and right. Just look around. Look around your person sitting on your left or right. Have a look, quick. No left and right. What is the first response that you see? Smile? Yeah. So sir was talking about vitamin D. We talked about vitamin S. And this vitamin S is smile. The first thing that we can do for any person walking in a hospital is smile. Smile not for making, but for making sure that he gets that comfort that don't worry, we are there for you. You are in safe hands now, right? And we acknowledge, we give that eye contact, we acknowledge. So every moment again that the person interacts with your product or your service or your people, what kind of experience that you give to your patient is what really matters. For which all of us have to be in ICU. Not the one that you think. Not the one that the medical fraternity talks about. We talk about ICU as, ICU is yes, but ICU is intensive care unit. Yeah. But for me, ICU changed and I live in ICU every day. For me, ICU is being innovative, creative and unique. So the moment you decide, what will I do differently to be innovative, creative and unique in every transaction that I see at the hospital or be it anywhere in any industry that you are, you start questioning. And the moment you start question, you have a question in your mind, you will start framing out different probable solutions. Get it verified and you will get one of the best solutions coming in from your customer only. That yes, this is what I expect. So this is what we did at airports. This is what we have been doing at hotels. We walk in as a customer, experience the various facilities, be it from the lighting point of view, be it from the lux level point of view, be it from the greenery or the the facilities which are there. For all those transactional things, you understand transactional things? Small little transactions, which may not require much of interaction. Automate it. Automate. Simply automate. The best thing. Because there are less chances of errors when you use automation. But where there is a human interface required, where there is a human connection required, when a doctor has to interact with a patient or a nurse has to interact with the patient, be away from all those non-value adding activities that we do throughout the day. From all those long travels that a nurse or a doctor has to do within the hospital, how can you reduce down those walking patterns and bring all the important elements close to the workstation so that he gets more time or she gets more time in interaction with the customer is what we need to check. Sometimes I've seen doctors spending over 40% of time on administrative works. How can we reduce down by automatizing it or making it easier, simpler, or delegating it out so that they spend more time with the patients, making them comfortable in the hospital. And this can only happen, friends, when all of us in this fraternity thinks from the customer experience perspective also. And that's why I think Hope is talking about this topic today. Because apart from the necessary facilities, the medical facilities, patients also look at the experience that they get at the hospital. I give you a very simple task. Just close your eyes for a moment and point your index finger towards the ceiling. Close your eyes and point your index finger towards the ceiling. And now point your index finger towards the north side. Keep your eyes closed and point your finger towards the north direction. North direction. raise it high above and point it towards the north direction. All right. Now open your eyes and look around. Just see how many north directions are there in this room. You see, there's somebody pointing north towards this, somebody towards that, this, that, everywhere. Are there so many norths? Are there or no? Yes or no? No, right? There will be only one north. But all of us have pointed in different directions. Why? We assume it's our perspective, right? Our perspective is not wrong. But when it comes to an organization, when it comes to a common vision, all of us somewhere lack the understanding of a common vision in the entire team. One person will say, I am a customer-centric person, or I am a patient-centric person, but my way of working is this. The other person will also say, I am a patient-centric person, but my way of working is this. Now what will happen for the organization or for that hospital? Is everybody putting efforts? Yes or no? Everybody is putting hard 10 to 12 hours in the hospital. Yes or no? All of us? Yeah. And we see some of them working very hard but no results, or not contributing to the end vision of the hospital or to any organization. Why? Because it's a lack of common vision. Now, if we decide today as a vision, as a theme, as a maybe as a small theme for next 6 months or 1 year in your respective hospitals, that patient experience has to be a theme around, right? And we tell everyone what is it that we want to give to our patient as an experience. We have one vision. For example, if I say now this is the north direction towards the screen, and I ask you to now close your eyes and point towards north, where will you point? Same? So do you feel that the results will be faster? Yes or no? Yeah. So how do we have that common vision? Do we have a common vision? Do we make people understand what is that one vision that all of us should follow in our organization? The moment it is clear, the moment everybody recites that one common vision, things will become better. And we start doing it from the expectations point of view. The gaps will reduce, right? I wanted to talk a lot from the infrastructure, but I think there were a lot of things that were already covered from infrastructure point. And that's why I thought that, and it is just a thought-provoking session. It's not, we're not changing anything right now. But it's a thought that we are provoking in our mind. And so I will talk extempo because this would otherwise take you to a very different direction. Before I go further, I will share a small story with you. Some of you would have heard about this story, but again, it's a thought-provoking story that I'm putting across. So there used to be a very small young girl, okay? A very young girl used to go to school every day. And she used to carry fish to her school every day. What? Fish. And she used to come every day back to her house, empty stomach, saying that, Mom, when I opened my tiffin, everybody ate my fish. And why? Because she used to cook very delicious fish every day. So she says, Mom, I want you to teach me how to make that fish. I will go and tell my friends and they will get their own fish from their house tomorrow. I don't want to share my fish. So she said, okay. She was anyways cooking during the lunchtime. She said, okay, stand by my side, but don't question anything. I am busy. I am making food for your father and for your brother. So stand by my side, don't bother me, and learn how do I make the fish. So she stands by. And then the mom starts making the fish. She picks up the fish, keeps it on the plate, cuts the head and tail, puts it in the fryer, and starts preparing the fish. Now, as a young kid, obviously, the question is, Mama, why did you cut the head and tail of the fish? So she said, I told you not to bother me. No. She kept on asking, why? She said, I didn't ask my mother. I have learned it this way from my mother. You better go and ask your nani, grandma. So she said, okay, we'll go to grandma in the evening then. Okay. We'll go in the evening and go ask grandmother. In the evening, both the generations go to grandmother and ask, Mom, why did you, why you used to cut the head and tail of the fish? So she said, this is how I learned from my mother. So they said, okay, let's go to the grandmother, and by chance she was alive. All the three generations goes to the grandmother and asks, Mom, tell us why you used to cut the head and tail of the fish. So she said, are you guys serious? Do you still cut the head and tail of the fish? I said, yes. Why not? You used to cut that way and we used to make it that ways. She said, no, 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 no. We were very poor. We did not have a big pan. We had a very small pan. And that's why I used to cut the head and tail of the fish and put it in the pan. You guys are wasting so much of fish from last so many years. Are you guys crazy? The moral is, ask why. If you don't ask why to your system, to your process, we may be doing some redundant things for last so many years, which is not adding any value. Are you questioning on the paperwork? Are you questioning on the list of series of approvals that are there, because of which a doctor or a nurse has to walk around 5-6 kilometers throughout the day just to get those approvals signed? Can it be shortened? So those whys will help us in innovating, and we will be able to live in ICU, not in the medical ICU, but in a field where we are innovative, creative, and unique. Yeah. So thank you very much for this time today, and I'm really privileged and honored to be a part of this such a distinguished gathering amongst us. Thank you very much for this evening.
Yeah, yeah, please close the door. I think wonderful discussions we had. You know, the background of this whole conference is all about. So, am I audible, right? Yeah. So, the whole background of this, how it started is, on one side, like, you know, look at it like, you know, she's a JCI surveyor. He's come from standards, British standards, like, you know, for setting up the accreditation standards. And he comes from a different industry, keeping the patient navigation in mind. The whole, whatever we always talk in the hospital is all about, like, you know, for the patient safety, satisfaction, better outcomes. So anything we going to design, we need to design, like, you know, keep constantly keeping this question, what is said, like, you know, ICU. So the ICU need to be applied on all these three aspects, whether my patient is safe, like, you know, can I make him happy, can he get a better outcomes. So the design principles of broadly about delivering a healthcare or designing a healthcare ecosystem or anything revolves around these three principles. Keeping these three principles, never compromise the standard. Always raise the bar, whatever it may be, like, you know, it is easier, like, you know, to take shortcuts. Please don't go to take shortcuts, but shortcuts may lead to. So a couple of points, like, you know, because of me working in patient safety for a longer time, like, you know, I always look at, like, you know, how can we make patients more communicative? Communication today, like, you know, what are the barriers in healthcare is communication. So how can we, like, you know, communicate and empower our patients? That is the next thing, like, you know, we need to have a lot of content related to patients' health and what is next. See, today, like, you know, I need to, if I go as a patient, like, you know, I need to know what all the set of activities can be done. I also need to know, like, you know, we come across single specialities, we come across multi-speciality. We say it's an oncology hospital. Does it encompasses the whole holistic care of the patient as a multidisciplinary team? That's also another question, like, you know, because abortic birthing centers, a patient with eclampsia, can I take this patient or can't I take this patient? See, because the background is patient safety, it's not just only highly reliable organization. So it is food for thought, like, you know, all of us need to constantly, regularly keep thinking, and as he put it across, like, you know, why is most important. When we answer why, next is, are we, right? So we need to build a very cohesive, culturally friendly, empathetic ecosystem concern for our patients. So when we walk through with everything keeping patient in the center, then only, like, you know, we will be successful. Anything and everything what he wants, we need to be able to do that. But any special needs which come across, you please question yourself whether it is for the safety, whether it is for satisfaction, or it's for the outcome. So that's it, like, you know, if you have any questions, like, you know, we would like to take it, sir. So otherwise, like, you know, we are on time, right? Yeah, thank you.
We have, I think, 2-3 minutes. I just want to add that when we were discussing all these designs, we were discussing the ideal designs. May not be the most practical designs from a cost perspective. We are a poor country. And then if you are 25,000 per month, you are in the top 10% of the country. So there is a huge population who is there who might not be able to afford the kind of structures that we create if you are keeping all these things in mind. So it's a requirement to make a very, very cost-effective design. One is a luxury design, but then there is always a cost-effective design. I feel for a country like ours, we should be able to put a lot of energy into a cost-effective design so that it is affordable and accessible for the people, the larger masses. If there are no...
Yeah, any closing comments from anyone, like, we can take it up? Or any questions? Yep. Yeah, let them also.
No, actually, in the hospital, say, in one side there is full of building. Adjacent to that, there is no any greenery. Say, for example, adjacent, there's like a tall, apartment. So, in that case, how do we make this connectivity for the patient? So, whenever he just open the window, we can see only the building. He may not be happy with that. So, in that case, how do we make him, just connect with the nature? What is the best way we can do that?
So I think
I don't know if there is any solution to that. It's a question of deciding where you are going to construct a hospital. Maybe you can make some colors beyond or something like that. I mean, nothing comes to my mind. But is there really a solution? You have created something, and just next to that there is another building which has come up.
Yeah, we
That's what you're
spoke
talking
about the biophilic.
Yeah.
That exactly,
Created
resolves
tree.
the issue. You create internal gardens, greeneries inside the building itself, where you don't get the open spaces to actually make gardens or greenery. You have this biophilic design, which is in vogue now, and it actually transforming the architecture.
Yeah. So
Especially in the
perhaps
health
they can
space.
come out, you can create a garden or something so that, because that does not have a solution. If you have a window and outside that there is another building, I don't think, then you'll have to come out and then you should create a space where they can walk around.
If you could see only the other apartment.
Yeah. See, basically, like, yeah, I think.
Sorry. I think every building has its own constraints, right? Both geographically, geographically means country-wise. Maybe you go to Middle East and there's not that much rain. Maybe you cannot harvest the rain, but you can do some other things for water, savings or so. So I think we need to think about, but as we said, when we provoke this concept, so then you start to even think about your building. That's a good achievement after this session. And then after that, then what you can say is, with your limitations, so let's say ICU, is it in the right place then? Maybe you would be thinking to put the ICU in another level if you were designing the hospital today or in year 2030, 40, right? So we cannot fix all the things in one time, but I think we can always start from somewhere. That's what I will just say in general. Because I understand what you were saying, and it's also cost, as Mr. Jason mentioned, is very important. But sometimes in quality, that's our difficulty. I come from automotive industry in the 20 or 30 years ago, so they will calculate my age now. That's not good, but so it was so easy to show what the quality brings to the organization, because you can measure it easy, the cost and the quality. But when I started with healthcare in 1998, then it was the biggest challenge. The CEO just told me that I just want you to measure the processes as an engineer. That's what we are having very difficulty. Okay, we were able to measure the processes, but what is the quality and the cost version of quality is very difficult to measure. Why I say this is, maybe you will invest some things, you will put money in, but then you will save a lot afterwards. I live in the Netherlands. We put a kind of bin to collect the water from the rain and to water the garden. The bin maybe cost €100 or 200, but the water savings at the end was much more than that after 2 years. So, it's all about feasibility, and I think it's all about keeping those concepts in our mind and just make a small steps, so then see the big improvements. Thank you so much. If there's no clear answer, because it depends on what
Please go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for adding that. And I will just maybe tell in one or two examples here. There are many times when we go and design or we take up hotels, right, where they are already built up hotels. Now you have to make sure that you are bringing in the green, around it. If there are no chances or no opportunities to create greenery around the hotel rooms outside, what we do is we do a lot of greenery inside. And when you do a lot of greenery inside, because green is one color which gives you that soothing, mindset. You have a lot of greeneries around your windows, around your walls. There are creepers which can hang from outside. There are artificial screens which are available, which gives you an experience of an open window. But there are actually technologically designed windows which gives you an experience, but it is not exactly the real picture. But that lot of greenery inside, lot of color, right? Choosing the right color inside gives you that kind of a comfort to your patient as well. So it may not be necessary that everything is outside only. If there are limitations, today the green building norms give you a lot of opportunities to create that environment inside the building. So I think that can give you some comfort of at least having no design to have some design inside the building.
Yeah. So most importantly, why we all had this discussion is to kindle the whole thing about patient experience. In whatever we do, keep the principles remain same and be innovative always, and change is constant. That is the mantra. And let us all work towards building a safer and a safe climate also. Both, it's not just only patient safety, it's also we need to have a environment safety also need to be factored into account. Such a wonderful audience and nice topic has been chosen. I think we all are grateful. We had a very useful interaction. Thing is nothing less we design our emergencies keeping the crash cart. Almost everything is required as an emergency 2.0 where nurses need not to go. And we build systems for for critical alerts, communications and all that part. And we always talk about how can we take the ICU to the home, give that home environment. So the customization is always, thing is how safely we all can deliver that care, and concern for about safe environment is equally important. And in the future is, if all of us start thinking, innovation will come, there'll be something new will going to come, and we're going to hope for a better, newly safer environment in the future. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, our session chair and all our speakers, for such an insightful session, and also our audience. So definitely after your talk, it's very much clear that healthcare spaces are beyond just buildings, and they must create a seamless synergy between innovation and care that we have to offer. Just very, very quickly, so I had a quick discussion yesterday with a friend of mine, about this topic, what do you think could be a suitable design? So he jokingly said that, a design that makes the patient running only towards us and not away from us is the best design. I'm actually just kidding. I'm just trying to make myself a little less nervous by joking. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, speakers. Yeah. We'll be putting up certain words which we'd request you to, take out your bingo cards from the kit that you have and try and look up to the words and scratch it and see
Get ready to
where
connect,
your luck takes
play,
you.
and win exciting prizes at the conference. Introducing the Play and Win contest, where you can earn points through fun activities and compete for fantastic rewards. Throughout the conference, you'll collect points by completing different activities. The more you play, the more you win. But it's not just about points. There are amazing prizes up for grabs. Visit the conference stalls and collect scratch coupons. Scratch them to reveal your code. Then upload it on the app to rack up points. Listen closely during each session as words will be announced. Match them on your bingo card and complete a box to score points and increase your chances of winning. Check out the clues on the IHD app and visit the stalls to scan QR codes. Each scan brings you more points and more chances to win. Joining is easy. Simply visit the IHD app, Play and Win section. Start collecting points and keep track of your progress. Don't miss out on the fun and the chance to win amazing prizes. Start collecting points today and be a part of the Play and Win contest. Let's play, win, and make lasting
Audience,
memories
request
together.
you all to please take out your bingo cards from the kit. Request all of you all to please take your seat as we roll into our next session. We will start our next session, the future of healthcare operations, innovations and best practices. As we now shift our focus to the dynamic realm of healthcare operations, we delve into the groundbreaking innovations that are transforming the operational landscape of healthcare. From optimizing workflows to integrating cutting-edge technologies, we'll explore the best practices that are shaping the future of healthcare delivery. For this, I would like to welcome our Honorable Chair, Ms. Maria Ali Raja, Head of Operations at Apollo Cancer Center, Chennai, a senior healthcare professional with over 25 years of Apollo hospitals experience. She currently serves as Head of Operations. She ensures seamless patient care, operational efficiency, and financial sustainability while bridging clinical and support teams. Her leadership in coordinating workflows and fostering communication has been instrumental in maintaining high standards of care. We welcome you, ma'am. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Mr. Shravan Kumar, a distinguished healthcare leader and quality management expert with remarkable track record of driving excellence at Zulekha Hospitals. He led the team to win the Quality Award Gold and improved patient safety compliance among many projects that he led. He has also developed the Zulekha tool and is also visiting faculty member at the Geneva Business School. We welcome you, Mr. Shravan. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Commander Navneet Bali, CEO of ClareMedi Healthcare, who will guide us through this transformative journey. Commander Navneet Bali, with an illustrious 25 years career in Indian Navy, now functions at the helm of ClareMedi Healthcare as the Group CEO. His visionary leadership has shaped organizations like Narayana Health and IOSPL. Please join me in welcoming him once again. Very warm welcome to our last speaker, Dr. Shilpa Tatake, Group Chief Operating Officer at Jupiter Hospitals. With over 17 years of experience, she plays a key role in overseeing operations at the flagship Jupiter Hospital Thane and driving transformative practices in healthcare. Let's give her a warm welcome. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Mr. Seshadri Narayanan S., VP of Engineering for the Southern Region at Apollo Hospitals. An electrical engineer, has been with Apollo Hospitals for over 3 decades. He has played a key role in standardizing engineering practices. He has contributed to the design and execution of the green and brownfield projects in the Global Projects Division. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir. Over to you, Maria ma'am.
Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the HOPE Conference. Today's session, part of the International Patient Safety Conference, brings together leaders and experts committed to transforming healthcare operations. We meet at a time when patient needs are growing ever more complex, technologies are advancing rapidly, and the global emphasis on delivering safe, high-quality care is paramount. This forum offers the perfect opportunity to examine strategies that can enhance operational efficiencies while placing patient well-being at the center of every decision. Over the next hour, we will hear from our 4 distinguished speakers who will address critical themes shaping our industry. They will discuss how data-driven insights can guide agile decision-making, how AI-driven solutions are optimizing hospital workflows, how to navigate safety in complex environments, and how predictive maintenance can keep healthcare facilities reliable. Each presentation, while distinct, converges on the same ultimate goal, improving patient care. Once again, thank you for being here, and I appreciate your dedication to advancing healthcare, and I look forward exploring these forward-thinking concepts together. It is my privilege to welcome you all for this session. Without further ado, let's begin our journey into the future of healthcare operations. I would welcome our first speaker. Because of want of time, she's got a flight to catch. So let's start with Dr. Shilpa.
Hello. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity to be here with all of you. And thanks, Maria, for actually snatching me as a first speaker. I'm taking somebody's opportunity. To begin with, patient safety in today's complex healthcare world. Nearly in every conference, we discuss about patient safety. And why do we discuss patient safety in all conferences today? Why was it not the case 10 years back? Sorry? Why was it not the case 10 years back or 20 years back? Anybody? In my opinion, primarily there are three reasons why are we talking increasingly about patient safety today. The first and foremost, as we all understand, that healthcare is getting corporatized. You know, as compared to last 2 decades, you will see lots of Ps, VCs are getting entered in the healthcare sector today, as well as many large chains are getting listed. To name a few, we have Apollo, Manipal, Max, Medanta, my own Jupiter. So every year you will find new IPO is coming. And with all these investments, we naturally expect returns and results. Now, no return, no result will come without performance. And everything is interconnected in healthcare. Performance cannot lead you to the desired result unless and until it is embedded with the quality, right? And why quality? Because quality, the particular DNA of the quality is itself a patient safety. Suddenly we are conscious because of this financial commercial reasons, but that is not the only thing. It is also increasing consumerism or increasing demands of patients or the healthcare consumers today. And third and foremost, because of thanks to social media, ChatGPT, Google, increasing health literacy or perceived health literacy amongst the healthcare consumers or patient today. You know, primarily these are the three reasons which compel us to discuss healthcare safety or patient safety again and again. You know? As we all know, last 2 decades particularly, we have done remarkable progress when it comes to healthcare scenario. It is not only in terms of your advancements in technology, it is advancement in your standardized care pathways or clinical protocols. It is also your super specialization, specialization, advanced digitization of health monitoring mechanisms, but it also reflects in your health indicators. Last 2 decades, we all must have seen, you all know that probably we monitor our health indicators. The way we monitor financial health, we also monitor our clinical health or healthcare of the population. The indicators are typically your infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, life expectancy span. In last 2 decades, we have achieved 4.11 years extra life expectancy. So all the changes have happened. Healthcare has evolved. Digitization has taken place. Thanks to Ayushman Bharat, thanks to ABDM, NHM, these all initiatives which government has taken. We have seen that government is also, post-COVID precisely, is increasing funding towards healthcare sector, though it is still not to the desired level. But when we were at merely 1.8 of GDP, today we have reached nearly to 2.3 to 2.5. You know, so that is also considerable increase in financing of the healthcare. With all these things, healthcare has definitely evolved. the way Mr. Arora was saying in the last session, in last 2 decades, the way airports have changed, the way they are looking or they are giving you the feel, and also the functioning, same way healthcare also has evolved. Today you go to most of the corporate hospitals and you will find there is no difference between the lobbies or between the infrastructure of Taj, Oberoi, Trident, and any five-star hospital. Because that is what, again, is consumer driven. You know, my own hospital lobby is designed by Mankar, who is basically an architect for Oberoi Group. And this is not only one. Nearly all the new hospitals which are coming today are all having this infrastructure, all having this up-to-date state-of-the-art technology today. All these things are evolved. Why? Because there is also a rise in disposable income. There is also a middle class population or upper middle class population growing in India. All this is driven, in other words, by all of us together. Now we are on the both side of the table. We are also the drivers and we are also at the receiving end at times. Now with all these coming in picture, with all these technological advancements, with all this glorification of healthcare, with all these, you know, the posh and plush infrastructure, technology, polished workforce, are we still there? Have we still achieved patient safety? Do we still think so that we are there where we are supposed to be? I'm sure most of us will have the answer no, because how much ever we are trying to push our boundaries beyond, we have still not achieved the success where actually we feel that patient is completely safe. Now there are challenges. When we talk about the development in technology, when we discuss about the investment in technology, investment in infrastructure, and we discuss about gaining the manpower to that efficiency level or efficiency mode, there are still challenges. We all talk about AI in healthcare, robotics in healthcare. It doesn't come without its own set of challenges. Technology is always welcome. We all feel that technology has driven healthcare today to the maximum efficiency. I have read somewhere that nearly 35% of efficiency level has increased because of AI. But do you know that this technology also has its own risk? When we actually push the digitization, now we are pushing ABDM, we are pushing NHM, we have digital NABH now, you know. But with all these, still today, 38,000 nearly private hospitals are there in India. Out of that, maximum hospitals, leave aside the chains in metros and semi-urban areas, are in rural areas. The manpower and the force which is behind that machine, have we given enough training? Have we invested enough in them to take them to a level where they can use the technology in a mature way? Even if they do that, do we have enough task force for having that analytical acumen who can interpret that data? Do you know, as a hospital, we generate nearly 50 petabytes of data every year, which is a mind-boggling. It cannot be a data which can be interpreted without a passion, without having the right analytical acumen. Just having flooding of data, we cannot call ourselves as intelligent or smart hospitals. Somebody has to process that data, and that data cannot be processed without a human mind. Machines cannot be made functional to the accuracy without a human hand handling those machines, without a human brain processing that data. So all these challenges are there. We all know about this advanced technology. We are using so many software, so many modules to run healthcare in a way that we get everything on our table. You know, for everywhere there is a software module for processing the feedbacks, for processing the admissions, for processing the routine day-to-day operations, for processing even your management information system. We use many tools, many softwares. But with that, the challenges have not come to the zero. Rather, if you consider in last 2 decades, our challenges have grown also multifold. The way we are actually competing with each other, who will come first? The challenges have always overpowered us to some extent. There are responsible human factors as well as other elements. We all know now in Pune recently, we are hearing about the GBS, and it has already crossed the toll of 200 plus. And that is called as the major outbreak, which is in the history of the world today. We have already overcome Corona 3-4 years back. All these new challenges are day by day emerging. India, at one point of time, we were only getting affected maximum with the communicable diseases. Today, India is grappling with the major challenge of non-communicable diseases. All these things, adding disease burden, getting new diseases, are also posing new set of challenges. Apart from that, we all know, we have heard about sustainability. It is, though desirable, it is not so easy to incorporate that in the running hospital or established hospital while getting it designed. Because for everything, when we discuss about the CapEx, we are actually used to instant gratifications. You know, somebody tells you, okay, you do this and you will get this benefit. We will do it immediately. But when we are told, you will get this benefit after 5 years, after 10 years, we are quite reluctant in getting this adopted. Same way, for sustainability, somebody tells you infuse more CapEx, and probably 10 years down the line, you will have the reduction in OpEx. We will still think. There are still prudent hospital chains, maybe Apollo is one of them, where they are having sustainability in charges or sustainability officers at the corporate level. But still, 90% of hospitals in India have not adopted it yet, even though they are SEBI registered. Apart from that, there are human factors, as I was telling. When there is an increased pressure of consumerism, finally the delivery is up to us. You heard the operations. I'm sure you are selling in the same boat. Keeping the teams motivated, same time arriving at the root cause, finding out where the system problem is exactly, keep on investing in training, continuous grooming, and still you are not reaching to the desired level. You can't bring everybody's motivation, everybody's technical skills, everybody's passion to the level. There is a human factor involved largely. When there is a lot of pressure, when you hear constantly, especially in operations, about the feedbacks of the patient, and you have to hear from both the sides. You know, you have to hear from top, you have to hear also from the patient side. Same time, you will have to maintain your balance sheets. It's not easy. It puts a lot of pressure. Now there are lots of studies going on, especially post-COVID, on the burnout of healthcare employees or healthcare caregivers. But that is all is one of the important factors when it comes to healthcare delivery. Communication gaps, human inefficiency in terms of handling machines, interpreting the data, and also to some extent Gen Z. I'm not discussing it. They have certain definitely plus points, but I'm also increasingly seeing that Saturdays typically they do not want to work, wherein the hospitals are high demand sectors. We can't in operation even take break on Sundays. When there is a phone, we will have to answer. But when I interview now people in the new generation, most of them are reluctant, even half of them. I was talking to this dean for about I'm this alumni. So I was discussing with him about the curriculum change and everything, and he told me, I feel I should change the curriculum. Half of my students do not want to enter in hospital sector now because hospital is highly stressful and less paying. So this is also one of the changes which we are observing. Patient involvement and engagement, as I have said. I mean, I would like to refer, there is a litigations, lawsuits which has increased nearly 110% as compared to past decades. We all must know about, we all will be knowing already about Anuradha Saha case, wherein the court has given compensation to the tune of 6 CR. That was for the first time Indian judicial system has awarded compensation for medical legal suit in terms of crores. After that, the whole scenario had changed. Nearly every hospital today faces that risk of litigation, the threat of litigation. That is one thing. Second, every second patient comes with a Google doctor. Every third patient wants to understand that why this therapy was given for my patient, why this was not explained to me. Now for every procedure, there can be a slightest invasive procedure, there can be a slightest risk of mortality. Now patients expect, even you have to mention that to the decimal point and explain them that this is possibly a risk if you undergo this invasive procedure. Now, all these things are increasingly putting challenges, increasingly adding stress. Apart from that, we have already discussed about resource constraints. So resource constraint, I'm sure, is not only a problem with healthcare sector, it is today nearly with every sector. At the same time, when we discuss about it, there are ways to overcome it. We have to continuously engage the manpower and workforce in getting them continuously trained on the upcoming trends. We have to engage them in meaningful conversations. We have to invest in motivational strategies, create small recreational facilities at the level, unit level. And not every recreational facility mean to be for enjoyment. It can be giving educational opportunities, continuing education, engaging them in professional developments, personal developments. Now, the most important thing which we have not touched upon is data and the cyber security. Nearly all the bigger hospitals today are under attack or already have been hacked by cybercrimes. Cyber criminals, 1 minute. So that is Data Protection Act. Along with that, we have to take also in account about the risk of having the data protection, patient confidentiality. All these things when we plan, this is basically a kind of vicious circle. If we don't break it in time, today we are at such a crossroad that there is a point that we can evolve and grow phenomenally well if we take care of all these concerns. I'm not trying to portray any dark picture. It is in fact an opportunity for all of us to take the healthcare today to the next level by investing, by carefully analyzing the current trends and grow further. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shilpa. That was truly very inspiring, and you have given us a lot to think about. I invite our next speaker, Mr. Shravan Kumar. He will talk about data-driven decision-making, the key to agile healthcare operations.
Good evening, everyone. Try to stick to the time. I know it's almost end of the day. Everyone probably wants to leave. Quickly, talking about data, and everyone since morning has spoken a lot about artificial intelligence, use of data, and so on and so forth. Thank you. So, why data matters, right? All of us know data is really important. Actually, we need data for decision making, right? Data helps in enhancing patient care. It assists our physicians, nurses, allied healthcare providers to take important clinical decisions to support patient care. Reduces costs. When we use data, we can optimize patient flows, optimize patient length of stay, avoid hospital-acquired or hospital-associated infections, injuries, so on and so forth, which eventually helps in reducing cost, improves operational efficiency. When you actually use real-time data, monitor real-time, you would be able to see what is working, what is not, and where should you act, and thereby improving operational efficiencies. As the previous speaker said, in a year, a typical hospital generates about 50 petabytes of data. And 1 petabyte is about 1024 terabytes, and 1 terabyte is about 1000 GB. So to put it in context, each hospital generates about 50 million gigabytes of data. And this data comes from multiple sources, from multiple patients, starting from patients registration, where we use demographics, to patient assessments, where our physicians, nurses capture both digits and text data, speech data. We generate a lot of data from radiological images, echoes, ECGs, and so on and so forth. All this data is just not at one visit, but it happens from multiple visits, and each healthcare provider collects this data at multiple touch points of the patient's journey. And of all this data generated, only 3% of the data which is generated is utilized by the healthcare organizations. 97% of it goes unused. What are the most commonly data sets that we use? Patient demographics, all of us use patient gender, age group, social status, and so on and so forth to develop new services or do target marketing, diagnosis to either scale up services or to promote certain services. Procedure codes, similarly length of stay, billing data, and we use a lot of utilization data at different sections of the hospitals. Now, let me show you some examples where we can use what can we do more in terms of utilizing data. So, optimizing appointment schedules. There's a lot of healthcare organizations have implemented systems which helps them to use historical data using machine learning to predict where would there be no-shows, whether it's in appointment schedules at the outpatient clinics or in the operation theaters and so on and so forth, which eventually helps hospitals to improve their throughput, minimize gaps in provider schedules, and reduce overall patient waiting times. Now, if you look at Cleveland Clinic, has developed a virtual command center in association with a company called Palantir. This allows the caregivers to have a broad view of where these bottlenecks are and what is the forecasting in terms of bed utilization, appointment schedules, and so on and so forth. At MediClinic, we've used chatbots to predict no-shows in the outpatient clinics. And we've implemented this for physicians who have less than 70% utilization. And within 6 months, we've improved their utilization by 15%. Sorry, this is... next is predicting bed management and staffing. And many, again, some hospitals used predictive analytical models which tell them what kind of bed utilization can they expect, and accordingly they can adjust their staffing levels to ensure more productivity. Eventually these will ease out waiting times in emergency departments, which is a major concern. Intermountain Healthcare has developed a technology called hotspotting approach, where they're predicting the high-cost patients who utilize more than 50% of their healthcare resources and move them to a comprehensive clinic where they have medical and behavioral health visits to cut down costs in the overall healthcare operations. Similarly, real-time patient flow monitoring. Some hospitals now use real-time monitoring of patient flow in the outpatient clinics, in the inpatient units, surgical surgery theaters, and so on and so forth. This helps. Typical example is, for example, I'm sure most of you have digital TVs displayed in labs, radiology, emergency departments, where you can see which are those tests which are yet to be done, or which are those patients which are kind of waiting, and so on and so forth. Johns Hopkins Hospital has developed a command center, like you see a CCTV command center. They call it Inner Brain, which helps them to have real-time monitoring of the bed availability, operating room efficiencies to patient status and staffing, and they take real-time decisions to be able to improve efficiencies in their operations. And similarly, supply chain inventory optimization. I'm sure most of you are aware of par levels, reorder levels, and so on and so forth. So this, you can actually predict your utilizations accordingly. There's a great example. Mayo Clinic developed their own software called SIMS. They call it Surgery Information Management Systems. And they've integrated this with their EHR, ERPs, and billing systems. Now, whatever whichever Mayo Clinic center orders this particular, any consumable, any implant, so whatever is required for the surgery point of view, they bill exactly the same. And that way they reduced their inventory costs and stockouts by roughly 15%. Similarly, we have telehealth and remote monitoring integration, and we've heard a lot about DOSI remote monitoring systems in the morning, where they reduced code blue calls and ICU hospital admissions. Similarly, Kaiser Permanente has introduced remote patient monitoring, where they monitor the diabetes, high blood pressure, and so on and so forth, of the patients remotely, and they reduce 30% hospital visits for some chronic conditions. Similarly, workforce management and scheduling, you can collect a lot of data from the HRPs that you use to improve staff utilization. An example of this is UKG Workforce, which is a human capital management software which gives you data on utilization of the staff, where you can have dynamic staffing models. You can ask them to take time off and so on and so forth. We're currently implementing this software at our hospital, and we hope it will really help us in dynamic units like emergency department, operation theater, and so on and so forth. The last example is revenue cycle enhancement. You can use a lot of billing data to reduce the claims data analysis have reduced to claim denials in Mount Sinai Hospital, whereby they improve the performance by 15 to 20%. And there are many more examples, but there are certain challenges as well. Comes to data privacy, you really need to have good systems to ensure privacy and security of your data. Similarly, interoperability issues, because this requires a lot of systems to be used. You cannot have all this information with one system. So when you use multiple systems, interoperability is something that needs to be considered so as to have the systems talking to each other. And of course, you need to invest a lot of money and time in ensuring staff training and staff adopting this particular technology and using that data effectively. I'll conclude by saying, this doesn't work, I'm sorry. Yeah, the data isn't just numbers, it is the heartbeat of innovation. Every data-driven decision transforms operations into pathways towards precision, efficiency, and ultimately better patient outcomes, which we all strive to achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shravan Kumar. Appreciate your time and effort taken in putting up the spectacular presentation, and love your punchline in the end. I now invite our next eminent speaker, Commander Navneet Bali, who's going to speak about AI-driven hospital operations, automating efficiency. We've heard a lot from Sangeeta ma'am this morning and would love to hear your views as well, sir.
All right, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today. I'll just take only 5 minutes and try to finish off what I have to say, because I think a lot has been said. Let me just tell you, there are 25 lakh beds in India, 70% of them in the private sector. Out of the 70% private sector beds, 85% of these beds are in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. I head a company which has beds in these smaller towns and villages, where the only need of the patient is to go to the hospital, get treated, and remain alive. That's one data. Second, we are 140 crore people. 60 crore people do not have any access to any healthcare of whatever sorts, because, despite our wonderful programs going on, on a daily basis, we find patients who have no way to go, and they still have a massive out-of-pocket expenditure. We have been talking about AI almost on a daily basis. Everybody seems to talk about it. Everybody seems to understand it. But let me tell you, there is zero thing happening today in healthcare in AI. Nothing, zero. We still have a long way to go. Day before yesterday, a very, very close friend of mine texted to me saying that they are in one of the poshest hospital in Delhi, one of the best in Delhi, and what a mess that hospital was. So everything that you have talked about, everything that you have heard about is absolutely not happening today. We still have massive issues in the appointment system. We still have massive issues in finances. We have massive issues in bills when they finally come out. We have massive problems in everything that we talk about. So in next 10 years' time, at least in India, I don't see anything happening in this regards. And the same thing that you faced about 10 years back, the same thing you face today also. So I'm not being very negative about AI, but let's at least stop talking that AI is doing wonders today. As far as the non-medical side of operations is concerned, we are still in the same old rut that we were about 10 years back. And people in villages and towns don't even care about AI, truly speaking. They want to just come to the hospital, get treated, and go back. We treat almost 800 patients on linear accelerators for cancer treatment across India today. None of them would be bothered about what time the AI-driven tool is giving them, or they are getting some reports on their phones. They don't even have the smartphones, actually speaking. So let's, get very real. The India that we talk about sitting in these 5-star hotels and big conferences is not the India that I am bothered about. It's the India that I treat, and these are the patients living in smaller towns and villages who don't care about AI today at all. Second thing is, who is going to pay the cost for the AI? If you're going to develop these softwares, ask big companies to invest in you, those of you know, the EBITDA margins typically in hospitals are close to around 16 to 18%. The best of them are at 22%. The worst of them are around 8 to 10%. Hardly any hospital makes any money. Forget about the big chains investing money in your hospitals. So I just thought I will give you this eye-opener today rather than going on the same drumbeat. Anyway, I stopped making PowerPoint presentations in my 9th standard, so I had no presentation for you. I just want to tell you that India is not what US and other countries are. We have got different sort of problem. We're just too many of them. And the classical ways that we are discussing of solving problems of the world are not the problems that are going to be helping us. What is going to help us is to become more healthier so that we don't even land up in hospitals. So whenever someone tells me to give a talk, the first sentence is, please keep away from hospitals. That's the only way you're not getting killed because of patient safety concerns. That's the only way you're not getting killed by extra billing. That's the only way you're not getting killed by selling your land and your houses, is to keep away from hospitals. Okay, so if you have to go to the hospital, please make sure that you know somebody in that corporate hospital. Almost every one of us sitting in the room, God forbid, has to send a relative or someone, would pick up a phone and try to ask, do you know someone in that hospital? Can I get an appointment to the doctor? How's that doctor? I'm sure that your patient is going to be taken care of. So we are still in that stage. To the positive side of things, about 10 years back when I started my healthcare journey, I'm now talking about the clinical pathways and the clinical ways. IBM Watson started a program on medical oncology where using big data, they could predict which medicine to be used for medical oncology. It failed miserably in India again because the entire data was Caucasian data of white-skinned people. There was no data of how we should be treated. So I think till the time we look at this entire bandwagon of blockchains and AIs and big data and the big things they talk about from our own context, where we don't even want it. Why do I want AI in my hospital? Tell me. There's no reason. I don't want it. And by the way, we have got so many people to give employment to. If I take, let us say I completely automate my hospital, how the people are going to be out of the job at least. And it's happening in some of the hospitals that take great pride in it. But that's not the solution for India. We need to generate employment. We need to keep our patients treated at least. And we have a huge number of patients, how the cancer incidents are going up. We keep discussing about it. It increases almost 30% CAGR every year. Who the hell is bothered about AI? I'm bothered about having a patient being treated on linear accelerator. Do you know what is the waiting time of a patient in All India Institute of Medical Sciences to get a surgery done or to get treated in a LINAC? It's almost 6 months to 1 year. And we keep talking about a patient to come at stage 3 and 4. Let's say a patient comes to one of the institutions, wants to get just treated. They're not going to get treated at all. All India Institute of Medical Sciences and King George Medical Sciences see around 12 to 15,000 patients on an OPD on a daily basis. Do you think there's a solution in AI which can sort it out? AIMS would have done it many, many years back. There is none. So technology has a great way of improving things for India. That technology has to reduce costs, increase accessibility, make sure that it goes to poorest of poor people in towns and villages, have those 23 lakh beds, 70% and 85% of that 75%, which is in these towns and villages, sorted out as far as diseases are concerned. That is our success story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commander Navneet Bali. It was indeed an eye-opener for us regarding the AI, and I'm sure, we still have a long way to go in that. My honor, and I'm happy to invite Mr. Sheshadri Narayan, Vice President Engineering, Southern Regions Apollo Hospitals. Excited to have him on stage. Excited, why? Because he has designed the hospital in which I work at currently, and he's still doing a fabulous job of it. It's a 31-year-old facility. So over to you, Sheshadri, sir.
Thank you, Maria. Good evening, everyone. Namaste. I think, the previous speaker, Dr. Navneet, has put me in a very difficult situation. So I'll try to answer you, sir, in my own way, because on the positive side, I'm going to talk about AI in the positive manner. We are really able to make the operations, much easier and a cost saving, which can be, transferred to the patients, okay, your clients. Can I have the So I'm going to talk about the least talked about subject in the healthcare industry, which is facility engineering, and to certain extent biomedical engineering also. I'm surprised to see that there are no biomedical engineers in this group. So that really speaks volumes about the status right now. And some time back, a few years back, if I say that I am an engineer, I'm working in a healthcare field, everybody would look at me and say that what are you doing over there? You must be working in a different industry, a power industry, being an electrical engineer. But there is a lot to do with healthcare field by an engineer, and we are really doing a lot of things which goes unnoticed, but fine. I think I have got an opportunity now to really state what we are doing over there towards the operational excellence. The current maintenance practices, most of the hospitals do reactive maintenance. What does that mean? You fix the failures while after it occurred. So there is no basically the downtime is more, and there are a lot of non-working machines and non-working equipments. Unplanned downtimes, higher costs. Of course, after failure, it always costs us more to repair. And we have moved to preventive maintenance. Some of the hospitals, some of the healthcare industries have moved to the preventive maintenance of the equipment. But still, there are challenges. It improved the reliability, but still, the downtime is there, and service challenges are there. So, what is the future? The future is moving towards the predictive maintenance. And what is predictive maintenance? So, I would rather say that in fact, we are moving towards, from predictive maintenance, we are moving towards early detection of failures also in some of the fields. Then what is predictive maintenance? We spoke of, we have heard enough about DOSI, and while what DOSI is doing in terms of medical care, we are trying to do in terms of equipment care. Equipment forms the backbone of any building operations. So we are trying to do that, and we are trying to improve the efficiency of the operations over there. So the other industries, they have already moved forward. The healthcare industry is one of the industries where we are still have a lot to capture. And so some of the facts which I have displayed over there. For example, manufacturing, it reduces the maintenance cost by 30 to 40%, and 41% of the manufacturing companies have adopted predictive maintenance using AI and IoT. Aviation, they are far ahead of us. Automotive industries, and energy and utilities. Why should healthcare facilities move to predictive maintenance? Because the equipment failure in hospital is not an option. So when I say equipment, it's both biomedical and non-biomedical equipment. Medical equipment prevents MRI, ventilator, dialysis failures during critical care. Ensures 24/7 power. You have a lot of requirement for power. Without power, you cannot operate the healthcare facility. So it prevents failures in power systems. And HVAC and air quality, I don't need to emphasize the importance of air conditioning and the air quality in a healthcare setup. It actually transforms. If you maintain your air conditioning equipment, it actually helps you to deliver a better medical care, and it also affects the patient the healthcare delivery as well as the outcomes. And lifts and patient mobility, safety systems, so on and so forth. And hospitals in US, this is based on one of the studies, have reported to 25% fewer equipment failures and also a lot of energy saving. This is typically the predictive maintenance flow. You have to acquire data, of course, and pre-process the data. So once you acquire the data, as Shavan said, a lot of data goes unutilized. So you have to pre-process the data, identify the condition indicators. Why do we use the data? To basically identify the condition indicators, how the machine is working, what is the status, it is in, whether it is going to fail, whether it will be operating in a safer conditions, so on and so forth. And then you develop a model, and you have to train the people who are operating that equipment in that model, and deploy that and integrate with other systems so that your data is actually real time. You are monitoring your machines real time. And these are typically quite a few technologies available today, IoT, AA based. I have given some typical examples also. Digital twin for medical devices, which is going to come into the non-medical equipment side also. And then we have already it has come already into the non-medical equipment. For example, carrier IVU system predicts chiller falls, which is typically will help us the HVAC condition system in the hospital. Power systems, you have Schneider EcoStructure, AA powered, Honeywell Forge Dex. So there are a lot of systems have come into non-medical equipment maintenance also, similar to the medical equipment. These are typically the steps to shift from reactive to preventive to predictive maintenance. Identify critical hospital assets. That's the first step. Install IoT sensors in the DG set, HVAC, wherever you feel that these are all equipment which are very critical and sensitive to maintaining operational excellence in the healthcare environment. Implement AI-based analytics for real-time monitoring. So when I'm saying AI, it's real AI, and we do practically we do a lot of AI analysis in this particular sphere. And train maintenance staff, which is the last one, but the most important one. Train your staff. Without upskilling your staff, you will not be able to deploy the modern technologies which we are talking about. Challenges, yes, of course, high initial cost, because you have to install a lot of hardwares, softwares. Data security risks are there, and more importantly, skill gap in the hospital maintenance team. So you have to constantly upskill your staff, train them, retrain them, reinforce, and upskill their knowledge. These are typically what happens is I have given certain justifications for implementation barriers, which is the cost factor. Predictive maintenance reduces long-term repair costs. So if you look at the life cycle cost of any equipment, though your capital cost is going to be slightly more, when you look at a cheaper equipment versus a costlier equipment with all the predictive maintenance software you are bringing in, your life cycle cost, which is typically between 7 to 10 years, you will see the difference. Now there will be a huge saving, which you will realize. So you have to what my suggestion to everyone over here is, don't look at the capital cost alone. When you calculate actual life cycle cost, you will come to know what exactly it cost is, and it will help us to select the equipment in a more appropriate way. Upskill hospital engineers and technicians so that they find it easier to adapt to the new technologies, and there is no staff desertions and staff unhappiness. Data protection is another way of looking at overcoming the implementation barriers. Again, benefits of predictive maintenance: minimizes the downtime, detects issues early and preventing sudden failures, reduces maintenance cost, enhances equipment life, ensures patient safety. Because HVAC systems, how it helps us to prevent cross infections, lower the infection rates across the hospital, and it improves the environment, your indoor air qualities, and thereby your patient care is better, and so on and so forth. And operational efficiency, definitely. What is the future? AI-driven automation, digital twin technology, green hospital solutions. It also helps us to prevent emissions, becomes more sustainable in our operations, and it is a real there is a real data. We have started implementing that in the last 3 years. We were able to save around 40 million units of electricity and 50,000 tons of carbon emission across hospital, our hospital group, Apollo Hospital Group. We have tied up with a startup company about 3-4 years back, and we have chosen 20 hospitals across the group, which constitute 80% of the consumption of electricity in the group, and we have implemented a lot of real-time data generations, and we have changed equipment where we felt it needs to be changed, and there are capexes involved, but we have gone into a model which is capex model where the partner company spends on that, and he takes back the money in a shared model, revenue sharing sharing model. So we were able to save 40 million units and 50,000 tons of carbon emission. And I know it goes without saying that I have also saved on the operational cost, which is around 25 crores of rupees in the last 4 years. So this is typically your data, how the real-time data is captured. This is typically the dashboard which we have done, which I have spoken about, and this gives us a lot of information about the operational efficiency of the machine, and thereby I can predict the equipment failures, where it goes wrong. I can take actions before it actually fails. And this is another company which we are trying to engage with for the smaller hospitals, where we are trying to digitize a lot of logs which we normally manually writing down, and that helps us to reduce human interventions, but still we require manpower to monitor that and interpret that and take actions on that. So the key takeaways: the predictive maintenance ensures uninterrupted hospital operations, reduces costs, improve patient safety, extends equipment lifespan. Hospitals must shift from reactive to predictive maintenance to improve efficiency. Hospitals need AI-driven predictive maintenance for critical utilities. The future of healthcare maintenance is smart, data-driven, and proactive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheshadri sir, for yet another informative session. According to Commander Bali, yes, we have a long, long way to go, but then I'm sure with your expertise, we will reach there someday. Any questions from the audience?
But e-statement is totally different. You can understand exactly.
Yeah, so in Narayana Health, when 1 year back, we have a app which is for doctors in the critical care, which they measure all the data which is coming in for predictive, decision making for the doctors. So there are two pathways that you need to understand. One is the clinical side, one is the non-clinical side. The clinical side, there are certain things which AI is doing. For example, in radiology, in diagnostics, where using the data they are able to do something very, very nascent right now. And the same, the app that you're talking about, Dozy, there is something called Adi in Narayana Health, a similar kind of thing, again in very nascent stages. So, this AI, the word that you're using, I mean, in some which ways, maybe the results are still going to come in maybe a couple of years' time when you're really, but yes, in clinical side, there are certain applications which are helping the clinicians to make better decisions. One more thing we need to understand is at the center of the entire thing is the doctor. And when this IBM Watson model came in, again, the clinicians have to buy in the idea whether this software is really helping them. So there are certain things which are happening in the clinical side where AI is helping, but in typical day-to-day operations of a hospital, and similarly for smaller towns and villages which I was talking about, which are almost like 85% of the 70% bed, we are still a very, very long way to go.
Any more questions? So ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude today's session, let us take a moment to distill the valuable insights shared by our distinguished speakers. Each presentation offered a unique perspective on shaping the future of healthcare operations, contributing to a shared vision of ensuring better outcomes and experiences for our patients. Thank you.
Thank you, session chair. Thank you, speakers. It was really, really valuable, all your perspectives. So we reconvene shortly at 6 o'clock. We'll have paper presentations from 6 to 7.